Hi, Chad with the Academy of Model Aeronautics. And when you think of the AMA, you might think of maybe the magazine, you think of insurance. I think a lot of us think of club benefits and AMA supporting our flying sites and events. And you're going to hear throughout this broadcast a lot of great things we're doing for the association. But, the AMA is much bigger than that. If you look at our mission, you read statements that we're committed to education and scientific and technical development. This hobby has led to so many great careers and innovations. And there's one exhibit I think of at the museum as part of our missions to preserve the hobby. And that is, there's a 747 on top of it is a NASA space shuttle, and it's a model. And I love that exhibit because it really tells the story of our association. When the shuttle program was launched, or the previous generation of the shuttle program was launched, NASA was scratching their head thinking, how do I get a shuttle from Texas to Florida? Do we dismantle it? Do we put it on rails? Do we haul it by semis? And a modeler stood up and said, you know what? I have a crazy idea that we could strap it on another plane and we could fly it. And NASA, I'm sure, scratched their head saying that doesn't make sense. But this hobbyist put a model together and made a proof of concept. And it's exciting to see stories like that. And I think many of us have members shoulder to shoulder at the flight line where they may not be working for NASA, but they're an engineer, they're a high school teacher, they're using modeling throughout their career. And you're going to hear stories about that today. And part of AMA's goal was, we need to build on that mission, and we can't do it alone. We need help. And so we established the AMA Foundation just a few years ago. And I want to bring on Kelsey Walker, who's the director of the AMA Foundation. Kelsey?
Hi, Chad.
Thanks for joining. And we have some exciting things to share today about the next step of the foundation. And I don't want to get into that yet, but tell us a little bit about the foundation and its purpose.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. So like Chad was saying, the foundation was set up in 2013, and its primary mission, its strategic focus areas are STEM education, model aviation education, the preservation of this hobby through the National Model Aviation Museum, scholarships for students going into college so they can become that next generation of innovators and pilots and engineers, and also capacity building here at the IAC and AMA. So our focus is charitable. When people give to the AMA Foundation, they are supporting charitable programming.
And it's exciting. And throughout, you're going to hear stories about how we and the hobby continues to be passed, almost like passing of the torch from generation to generation. My dad flew control line. And I remember being a kid, my dad flying control line, and our hobby expanded into trains and boats and other disciplines, like I'm sure many of our members. And I made a career out of that. I'm here at the AMA working to help grow this hobby. And as we roll out some new programs with the foundation, we're going to talk about some giveaways we're including with that, some thank you packets, and a really nice model. I don't want to say too much yet, but we'll talk about that at the end. And throughout, I already see a couple comments coming in. Throughout, we're going to monitor the comments. If you have questions, we'll try to weave that throughout the program, but we have time at the end where we'll really get through a lot of those comments. So feel free to add some comments. If we don't get to it right away, we'll follow up afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. Please leave your comments and questions there. So what I'd like to pivot to is to bring on a couple of guests, and we'll start with the AMA president, Richard Hansen, and he also sits on the AMA Foundation Board of Directors, and he is a donor. He gives every month, and I wanted him to talk a little bit about how he got started in the hobby, why he gives to the foundation, and why do you give, Rich? What's your motivation?
Oh, Rich, I think your audio's off.
You got to love technology. Sorry about that. But first of all, I want to thank you guys for bringing me onto the presentation. And more importantly, thank you for everything you guys do to support the hobby, to support the AMA, and in this case, what you do to support the foundation. You know, this hobby has been such a large part of my life since I was just a kid in grade school. And it continues to be a large part of my life. And I have strong feelings about making sure that it continues for future generations and that we feed the pipeline, so to speak, of future modelers and future aerospace workers. You know, when I was a kid going back in grade school days, my interest in modeling really started with Christmas gifts that we used to get from my dad of old Cox plastic control line models. And my brother and I used to spend hours and days trying to figure out how to make an 049 engine work, and spent a lot of hours on an old tennis court flying these control line models. And we really got the interest from my dad. I guess that's who passed the torch to me. He was a World War II pilot, and when he got off of, came back from the war, he stopped flying and went back to school, became a medical doctor, and was a small town medical doctor for the rest of his life. And you might remember back in the 50s and 60s, doctors still made house calls. So he was worked 24/7 and never really had an opportunity to have a hobby. But he always maintained this interest in aviation. Matter of fact, he owned a 1958 172. He and I would go up and he'd give me a little bit of sick time. And as I grew older, I got old enough to be in Civil Air Patrol, and my peer group was all people that, or all kids that were interested in aerospace sciences. Got to remember the 50s and 60s was the era of the space race. It was all about the efforts to get to the moon. And I had an aerospace science teacher named Bob Bowman that kept us all engaged as young kids. And our way of doing it was with model airplanes. And when I graduated from high school, I went directly into the service and became a helicopter pilot, served in Vietnam. And that actually led me to a 27-year career between active duty, guard, and reserve in military aviation. And when I got off of active duty, I started flying for the state of Arizona, flying rescue missions, and spent another 26 years flying professionally for the state of Arizona. And if that wasn't enough, when I got done and retired from the department, I spent another 10 years with America West and U.S. Airways. So, you know, the whole idea of model aviation being a stepping stone to a career in full-scale aviation was certainly a reality for me. And I would love to see this become a reality for future generations to come. And that kind of leads me to my interest in the foundation. You know, I got started in AMA at the national level back in the early 90s. And there was, I've spent almost 30 years now between being on the board of directors, the executive council, and helping and working on staff. And back when I was at the District 10 VP for District 10, which are the western states of Hawaii, California, Arizona, Nevada, and Utah, we had a young man down in Tucson named Ryan Scherow. 14 years old. He was just a dynamite individual, very active in his club. He was very active in helping and participating in the club activities, helping and participating with others, individuals that were flying. He even became a sponsored pilot for a small company called the Electric Jet Factory, who produced a low electric ducted fan model called the Sport Jet. And Ryan used to fly the Sport Jet at jet events, demonstrating the aircraft, and really became a very proficient pilot. And unfortunately, he caught a very rare disease that took his life within 72 hours. And it was just devastating to the modeling community, obviously to his family, and to all of us that knew and loved this young man. And we wanted a way to memorialize the participation that he had given to the hobby. So we actually came up with the idea of creating the Ryan Schroe Scholarship Fund. We got that approved through the Executive Council, and it's specifically a fund that's designed to reward, if you will, or to recognize kids that are involved in the hobby at the level Ryan was and participate and are interested in going forward and getting into a career of aviation. So that's been the part of the foundation that's been near and dear to my heart, and actually is why I give on a regular basis. We're hoping to actually build that fund up to make an endowment that we can use the earnings to provide scholarships to young modelers year after year. And that has been my drive. I have always believed that in your lifetime, when there are things that have contributed to your success, things that have been important to you in your life, that when you get to the point in life when you are able to give back and help it to sustain, that's what you should do, that you should make that a priority in your life. I've made it a priority in my life, and I'm hoping others will too, and join me in this effort of giving back to the organization and the hobby that we all love.
Thank you for sharing, Rich.
Yeah, and I don't think we ever say it enough. Thanks for your service too, and not just to the Academy, but to our country. Rich really does give his time, talent, and treasure to this hobby, and we cannot say thank you enough, Rich.
Well, it certainly has been a pleasure and a life's passion. So I'll let you guys get on with the rest of the presentation. Good luck with it, and thanks again for having me on.
Thanks, Rich. We are going to hear from our second guest, who is the treasurer for the AMA Foundation Board of Directors, Rusty Kennedy. He has been the treasurer and served on the board for 3 years, and we're so happy to have him here today. Hi, Rusty.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I've been on the foundation board now 3 years as the treasurer, and I too got started in model aviation through my father. I was 6 years old. That was about 60 years ago, and he built and flew free flight models when he was in the service. But his true love was model ships, so he had a nice shop. But he knew I liked the model airplane, so he cleared off an area for me and gave me some tools and a model that we had picked out together. And before he could say, "Don't cut yourself," I was already bleeding. So, luckily, my mother was a registered nurse, so he got me down to her, and I was more worried about what he was going to say about me cutting myself than my mother patching me up. But he never said a word. He just brought me back upstairs and sat me down, and I have been building and flying models ever since. It's the only hobby I've ever participated in. I've never had any other interest in any other hobby. Through the years, I joined AMA for a while in the 60s. I can't remember why. I think it was to fly in some AMA control line contests as a young man. And then for whatever reason, I wasn't a member. I joined the service, and I made a career out of the Air Force. And then I rejoined in '79 to fly to join a club up in Delaware. And now I'm a life member. And through the years, I've seen a lot of what AMA has done for model aviation, mainly because I sat in the front row of many clubs. I totaled it up last night. I've been a club president for 22 years. I finally stepped down last year from the club I was president of for 10 years. Last year to devote more time to the AMA Foundation and all. But AMA has always been there to give assistance to clubs and their members, and it provides flying site grants for improvement of the fields, disaster assistance, and most recently we've been helping a few members who needed a little help to pay their dues because of the COVID and all the problems and people losing their jobs. I donate on a regular basis, and because AMA is mine and yours organization, and I enjoy it, and it's always been there for its members and its clubs, and I want it to continue to be there, and so far, providing finances is a big thing for me. The foundation helps support many AMA programs. Just a few as a STEM. Camp AMA has been a really big thing, and the Takeoff and Grow has been very, very good. The foundation, the foundation is building an endowment, which we hope will be able to fund things in the future for AMA. But the bottom line is I donate funds on a regular basis because I want to, and that's why I do it. And I hope some of you listening out there today would do that too. Thank you.
Thank you, Rusty. It's a great story. Appreciate everything you do for the hobby, both at the national and local level. And you're right. This is a labor of love for a lot of us. And appreciate you giving both your time and your treasure as well, and helping with monthly donations and recurring donations.
Okay. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Rusty. Bye-bye. So we heard both Rich and Rusty talk about that they give on a recurring basis. They give regularly, and that's something that has come up for the foundation, is giving members and donors the opportunity and the convenience of having of setting up and having donations auto transacted on a monthly basis. So, my staff and other departments at AMA, we started to brainstorm, and we started to think, what can we put together that will allow people to give really easily and give on a monthly basis, and what can we do to also give back to them? So we set up a program called the Torchbearer Program, and you heard both Rich and Rusty talking about passing the torch, and I think even Chad mentioned it. And if you remember, in both the AMA and the foundation's logo, there is a torch in between the wings. And we took that symbol and we based this program around it of, we all hold a torch for the things that are important for us in this hobby. And we pass it, we carry it, we pass it along to those who we want to share the hobby with, our loved ones here at AMA. We're passing the torch to students around the country, to our members, to clubs. And so we liked that idea of those who are most committed to us, to the foundation with their monthly gifts, are really the heart and soul. They're the torchbearers, the ones who are carrying and passing that torch on to the next generation. So this program was born. And like I said, we wanted to figure out a way to also give back to those most committed donors. So I'm going to introduce my colleague, Austin Purley, who is the donor and program specialist. And he is going to tell us a little bit about what a donor who sets up monthly donations can expect to receive.
Yes, thank you. Hey, thank you, Kelsey. But like she said, anyone who sets up to become a torchbearer will receive a welcome kit, and it's going to include a couple of things. The first one being this magnet that actually comes apart into 3 separate magnets. And we chose this one because you can put pictures inside of it, and you can put it on your fridge or in your office or wherever you're going to see it to just remind you of why you're passing on the torch. You can see here that they have it on their fridge. And just kind of that daily reminder of why you're giving back and why you enjoy the hobby. And then second, you're going to get this Passing the Torchbearer calendar that has some really cool photos for each month. And it even has some special AMA related dates in it, such as February 1st, where our scholarships and grants are coming up, and other dates in that as well. But I'm not going to show too much more because you'll have to set up the torchbearers to see the rest of what's in there. But that'll all come in your welcome kit once you set that up. But aside from the welcome kit, you're actually going to get monthly exclusive content as well. So you could get a special podcast episode or a look behind the scenes at what the foundation's doing, or even AMA. There might be special interviews. So there's just going to be a variety of things that you're going to get to be a torchbearer.
Thanks, Austin. Yeah, we are so excited to be working on this content for you, to share that with you every month. So there will be some fun things like podcast episodes, but we also want to share some of the impact that your donation has made, with Camp AMA or with the junior camp or something, grant stories and club stories, and sharing those stories and that data with you so that you can really see where your donation is going and who it's helping and who it's benefiting. Yeah. So you might be wondering how do I get set up with this program? Call me, email me. You can also go to our website, which is modelaircraft.org/pass-the-torch, and talk to me, and we can get you set up to have monthly donations, monthly gifts auto transacted from whatever payment method you would like. I think it might be time, Chad, to quit teasing about the prize giveaway and maybe reveal it a little bit more.
Agreed. It's a great model. Let's let Joe explain it. Let's introduce Joe.
Hey everybody, me Joe from Balsa USA. As you know, one of our biggest goals over here at Balsa USA is the support and promotion of our fantastic hobby. And speaking of supporting the hobby, I want to talk to you a little bit about the AMA Foundation. The AMA Foundation talks about or helps out with club grants, scholarships, model aviation. They've got the STEM program, they've got the museum, they've got many things that they've got their hands in to help us promote the hobby and to make sure that the public sees what we do in a good light. So for that reason, Balsa USA has donated a third scale Newport 17 kit to the upcoming foundation promotion. So make sure you check out what they've got going on and keep helping us continue to support model aviation as we know it today. As always, thank you very much for watching and happy building.
Thank you, Balsa USA. Thank you, Joe. I think that's I love that model plane. We have a couple more bird events out here, and that it's great.
Very generous donation from Balsa USA to sponsor this giveaway. So you might be wondering, how do you get a chance to win this awesome kit? So we are going to enter everybody who sets up monthly donations from now until February 28th. So the end of February, if you set up monthly donations through the foundation, we will enter you into this prize giveaway. And this particular kit is valued at right about $800. So this is a really fantastic prize, and I'm going to be really excited to give it away to one lucky person.
So let's talk about that. If someone wants to participate, how much do they need to participate to be considered in part of this giveaway?
Oh, that's a really good question, Chad. So we don't have any minimum gift amounts. $1 a month is perfectly accepted. We welcome whatever you can give. We would be happy to get that set up for you. I do have a couple of examples, if you will, of what your gift at X amount per month, what impact that would make. So for example, if you give $5 a month, that would help us digitize one film reel at the museum. We have a lot of film reels over there that are in storage, that it costs money to digitize them and to make them available to members. And so if you give as little as $5 a month, your gift over the year will help us digitize one film reel. If you were to give $25 a month, by the end of the year, you would help the AMA Education Department build 4 flight packs for AMA Junior Camp and be able to distribute those to participants who have a financial need. At $50 a month, you would help send the AMA simulator trailer to an event. It costs money to send that really awesome experience to our clubs and to their events. And so if you were to donate $50 a month, you could help us get it to one of an event in your area, perhaps. If you were to give $100 a month, by the end of the year, you could provide one $1,200 scholarship to a student who is going to university to pursue some STEM or science, technology, engineering, math career. And so, there's a great picture of the simulator trailer there. So, we accept gifts at any level. If you can give more, we would be absolutely happy to accept that as well. But even $5 a month makes such a difference. So,
yeah, giving to the foundation, our mission in conjunction with the foundation is we want to spread the joy of model aviation to as many people as possible and inspire as many people as possible. And this is one tool supporting our youth through scholarships. We've given out over $1 million in scholarships, Kelsey, through the foundation and AMA. And we want to continue that. This hobby is much bigger than us. This hobby is much bigger than this generation. We want it to carry throughout multiple generations. And it's an important hobby to do that. And donations help make that happen.
Right. Our year-end slogan, if you will, our year-end tagline for 2020 was upholding the joy of flight. And that's what I love so much about the foundation is that is what we focus on. We focus on passing the torch. We focus on spreading that happiness, that joy that someone gets from when an idea clicks for them, or when they find that they are more interested in their science classes, or they're now starting to consider a career as an engineer, or, all of the ways that we can help spread model aviation and throughout communities, through the U.S. That is what gets me so excited. So you're absolutely right, Chad. That's our mission.
And again, if someone wants to participate and help carry the mission further and help spread the joy of model aviation to this generation and future generations, how can they do that again?
Great question. So, like I said, you can go to modelaircraft.org/pass the torch. And that's our landing page there. And it'll tell you a little bit more about some stuff that we talked about, what you can expect to receive as part of being in this program. And there's some contact information for me down at the bottom of the page as well. So please call the foundation, email me. We can get you set up with monthly donations.
Great. Well, again, it's an exciting time to be in the hobby. It's a great hobby. It's a hobby that has led, and I'm reading a lot of these comments, it's led to a lot of great careers. And even if it hasn't led to a great career, it's just a great hobby to get into. It's a great family hobby. It's a great hobby. Maybe after a long day at work, or you have a great weekend, you want to just get out. It's great on so many levels. And let's make sure that happens for future generations. And donations through the foundation will ensure that.
Did we get any questions that we?
We did. Some of these we may address on the side, but here's a question from Mike Fitzgerald. Has AMA considered outreach to educators and partners with STEM leaders from state departments of education? And I can, let's tag team this one, Kelsey. I could say yes. As a matter of fact, we have just launched an education partnership program where we're working with other education leaders. We have worked, thanks to the foundation, with grants and set up programs where we work with educators across the country and encourage them and provide curriculum to include model aviation in the classroom. We have staff. Your donations help support staff on site who are curriculum writers. So we are very much STEM focused. It's one of our main pillars here at AMA, and it's part of our mission.
Yeah, great question. We exactly what Chad said, and I know that the education department, they're so on top of it. They're always trying to find new ways to get into the ear of someone, into the ears of educators.
Well, again, if you would like to learn more, go to modelaircraft.org/pass the torch. And there's hyphens in there, pass the torch. Learn more, get in touch with Kelsey. We always appreciate your support. Thank you. And I know here in the Midwest, clear skies, low wind. If that's good for you, get out and fly and enjoy this great hobby.
Very cold outside.
That's all right. Wear some gloves. It'll be good.
Yeah. So while we're wrapping this up, I want to sort of give you a preview of our first exclusive content for February. So if you sign up or if you set up donations now between today and February 26th, which is when this content will be sent to your inbox, you will get to see a special podcast episode with Katie Bossman, who is a former AMA scholarship recipient. I've talked to her recently, and she's really wonderful, and she has had such a wonderful career in aviation. She works at Garmin International, and she's an instructor there, and she flies full scale, full scale, and she also, she told me that her first love is sailplanes. So we're going to hear more from her on the podcast. So if that's something you'd like to tune into, make sure you set up your monthly donations.
And, since we're talking, let's also plug, because I know the deadline's right around the corner. Last year, we helped dozens of clubs across the country with flying sign improvement grants, with community programming. We have scholarship deadlines, so they're all right around the corner, February 1st. So please take advantage of that. Either as a club officer, I encourage you, or as a youth member, take advantage of those opportunities. And if you're in a position to donate, so we can help even more members and clubs across the country, please do that as well.
That's right. Thank you all for joining us during this live stream. It's a fun format that I'm not necessarily used to, but it's been really fun for me to be on these live streams and to share the good news and the gospel of the foundation. So thanks everyone for joining us and watching.
Thank you all.